to the stream. It's very good to see you. Thank you for joining us once again. And here we are for our very first panel of the weekend. Very exciting. Very exciting. On stage with me at the moment, if you want to see them on stage, we're in server 1, if you can get on. We have 3 wonderful people. Do you guys want to introduce yourselves and where you guys are from?
Yeah, let's go right to left. Velvet, you start.
I'm Velvet. I run Cube Championships, and I am here.
Nice. You are on the main stage.
I am on the main stage.
My name is Orbit from Inside MC and also Crafted Together, a podcast studio, all that kind of jazz. And I am also on the main stage. It's always good.
That's always good.
Hi, I'm Vera. I'm also known as Vercon, also known as Vera Vercon. I own Gummy Studios, a Minecraft movie studio, and I am also on the main stage.
Very nice. Good to also have you where you need to be, Vercon. So yeah, thank you guys for joining us. I believe you're going to give us the lowdown as to what it takes into making an organization and steps to be able to establish that. Is that like a Minecraft specific organization or just in general?
Yeah, so I'll give you a little rundown here because it's my idea. So earlier this year, I had a panel about managing an organization inside Minecraft, which is like just like inside like a podcast or an event, all that kind of jazz. So because of that, and like it's all good and known, like managing stuff. But I wanted to come here today and use this next 30 minutes with an owner of someone who makes movies and all that kind of jazz, and then someone who owns an event alongside me with a podcast. And talking about starting it from the ground up, because it's all good and not like well knowing how to manage one, but actually getting it started and actually getting traction, that's a whole different story. So we switched up a little bit and have like 3 completely different kind of aspects of the Minecraft scene in one place here to talk about how to start, essentially.
Well, that's very exciting. And I think there's a lot of people in the crowd over here that can very much benefit from knowing how to start an organization. I'm sure many have organizations sort of from the beginnings of themselves. So yeah, thanks for coming and sharing the knowledge that you have.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, no problem. So do you guys want to just take it away with telling us how it all works?
Yes, so I will be essentially doing what I do best as the podcast host and asking these 2 lovely people questions, and alongside that also kind of giving my answers with it. So firstly, who wants to go first? You're both going to answer it regardless. Do you want to go first, Vercon? And technically, you could also get involved as well if you want to answer something, if you have some input. Yeah, if you have input, it'd be fun if you feel like it. You.
Okay, fantastic. I'm here for it.
I mean, yeah, cute's gone. Okay, so first things first, right? Mm-hmm. I'll ask you first, Vercon, and then we can kind of go around.
Okay. Let's
go. with like your project, and this is get a rough idea. Why did you decide to start it? Obviously, it's something completely different, like not really done too much with the whole, like movies and all that kind of jazz. So, what inspired you to start?
I just really like telling stories. That sounds very simple, but I mean, I had the idea for ages, and I mean, since like 2020, 2021, I tried to start the project up in the past, and it never really worked out until 2023. I kind of got the idea again, and I just thought I really want this to happen, and I went with it, and I started the Discord, I started everything. I got a bunch of people that I thought would be interested, and because like you said, this isn't really something that is done in the Minecraft space. It's starting to grow a little bit, I've noticed. There are a lot more movie type content in Minecraft coming out, which I'm a fan of. But yeah, I wanted to do something new. I wanted to do something cool, and I just want to tell the best stories possible.
And then
that's why I started.
And on the flip side, obviously, the event scene there's a lot of events, right? And it's hard to kind of hard to get people and kind of convince them to join your event. So, the concept isn't exactly unique, but the way you do it is unique. So why did you start? Why did you decide to kind of, especially being so late with it, right? I mean, the event's only started this year.
Yeah. It only started in June, I believe. Main thing with me, I just really enjoy events as a whole. Um, Obviously, I've ran 2 events before this, so I've had the experience. But the second thing, running events to me is just I enjoy like creating things, I enjoy developing things, and obviously I run it with my girlfriend. So in general, it's just a thing I enjoy doing. But with there being a lot of events, it's kind of hard to like make yourself stand out in a sense, because obviously you've got Cube, which is what I run, but then there's so many events that have similar players, similar games, and all that. So I guess like a big thing is, like I said, trying to make it unique, and just generally, obviously, like when I first started making events, there wasn't as many events, but then in the last year and a half, there's been like a big increase because everyone wants to play events. Because if there's a lot of demand for something, there's going to be more of it being made, which is kind of how it works.
Do you have any input, Cubes Cam, on CubesCon, or do you want to leave it
when
to just
you
us?
when you say events, can you? Because I mean, there's so many different. Well, event could be so many different things. What specific kind of events are you putting on?
The ones that we run are mini game events. So if you think like the kind of stuff like the Minecraft Championships, stuff like Block Wars, they're like the biggest ones that have all of the like largest creators. But like on the smaller side, there is a lot of mini game events where they all have like similar format where you have like 8 or 10 teams, and you have a certain amount of games, and then you play to get the most points.
Yeah.
And that's just generally what I enjoy running.
Yeah, I mean, like when we're trying to like see what activities we can put at Cubed, we look out and see, you know, obviously we've got the Minecraft Championship kind of stuff starting and has kind of kicked off this whole era of all these, like you're saying, mini game events, right? Loads of different other people, such as yourself, is trying to tap into that really fun, engaging content. And yeah, it's so it's so broad, but also so difficult to find that niche niche kind of activity that stems out. And yeah, I think we have that. We're kind of lucky with Cubed in that we're yet to really. There's a couple of other events that are like a convention out there, but we've been very fortunate that what we do is quite unique in a sense. But it's also something that people can relate to. You know what a convention is in the real world, so thinking of it in Minecraft is pretty easy to do in the head. Obviously there's a few caveats like you're in game, but I think we've been very fortunate with that, and so we've been able to kind of tap into that growth and that unique selling point, I think, is key in being able to grow your organization as a brand as well. That's very key, especially in today's world.
I mean, yeah, to kind of like give my answer as to this, and also like kind of partially self-promote. Podcast came out 4 hours ago with I'm going to butcher the name, Aya TV, obviously co-founder of CubeCon, and like so we got to talk about that, which was really cool. And like to kind of link it into me, the reason I wanted to start the podcast and now also like the award show that's kind of started up is because a lot of the time, and I think it's like yourself, and I've had this talk previously as well with people who work with CubesCon, is that a lot of people can't afford to go to these conventions in real life, or maybe they're too far, or maybe they're just inconvenient timing and all that kind of jazz. But hosting a convention inside Minecraft, I mean, like anyone can access that, anyone can go to it. So with the podcast, I kind of wanted to give people not really a reason per se, but like get people on the podcast who may never go on a podcast, who may not have ever been on one. I mean, Vercon's been on with Gummy Studios. There's going to be one announced in the future with Velvet and Amy from Cube Champs, and obviously I've done CubesCon twice now, and I had a panel here last year. So it's basically just giving kind of people that opportunity where they might not have previously, and then the award shows to kind of link into the same thing, give people recognition, give people awards who may not qualify for the Streamer Awards and all that kind of jazz. And I think that's like I said, exactly what you're doing with CubesCon is letting people feel what it's like to go to a convention. And every single year, it's amazing. I mean, I've come here for 2-3 years now, so.
Yeah, I remember you being around, don't worry, which is weird to say because there's so many people that come. But yeah, I do remember like quite a lot of names, so it's always.
I mean, I'll be rocking up in person tomorrow.
Yeah, you
so,
will.
You
know.
But
I think what you said there, like, I think we can all agree that Minecraft is probably one of the best platforms available to be able to give people those opportunities that they might not get in the real world, because you can kind of recreate a lot of experiences that happen, but at an accessible level.
We're gonna go a bit of more of a morbid one here, just because
Yeah.
you know we like to do the positives of this is really nice to start up. Also,
Oh.
why it's rough. We'll start with you this time, Velvet, and then you're next up for the next question. You're starting. So, obviously, starting an organization is all good and fun, you know, or like, you know, an event or a movie. Like, you have this idea in your head, you have this vision, then you have to reach out to people. Then you have to convince 32 people to join. Then you have to convince thousands of players to log on every single day and donate and buy tickets and do all this kind of jazz, right? You know, like, it's all good and fun having the idea in your head, but then when it actually comes to moving out of the storyboard, the going gets tough. So, what are like some of the toughest things you've experienced? Well, again, we'll start with you, Velvet. Obviously, being an event that started so late, that's, you know, people are so accustomed to their certain mini games, to their certain rosters, to their certain, you know, time frames. It has to be on the weekends so everyone can play. Blah blah blah. What has been kind of your toughest like struggles, I guess, to face?
One of the things that you just said is like trying to get everyone to it's always on a weekend, always on a time that everyone can make. That is one of the harder parts because there's always inevitably going to be a time that some people can't make. Because if you like with our event, we have people from America, from Europe, from Australia, from Asia, where it's like the time zones are so vastly different that no matter what we do, a section of the player base isn't going to be able to make it. Which obviously like we try to like rotate times because like earlier times are better for people on the on like east side of the world, whereas later times are better for people on the west side of the world because of time zones. But obviously that's just that's difficult. But then another thing that is also quite difficult for me personally is that as an event grows, there's inevitably more pressure to make sure that it's of a high quality. Because like we got lucky because I have a lot of experience programming stuff. Amy has a lot of experience building stuff, so we can make something that is quality. But it becomes it's very high pressure when you have hundreds of people watching it at once, like scrutinizing everything about the event because it just makes it feel very like this needs to be good now rather than you can dawdle on it for a little bit and take your time with it. Because we only do like a month between events because that's kind of the standard in like with minigame events. There's usually a month, 2 months between each event. So having that small of a time frame to work on making sure the event feels different every time it's very high pressure, I feel like.
Your time back on.
Okay. Some of my struggles is, well, getting voice actors is easy. Usually people reach out and I kind of give them like a little script to kind of do their own audition. It's quite a fun process, but sometimes casting can be a little hard and just trying to get people in the right roles because sometimes people aren't comfortable in a role or some people aren't able to do a role on time. Like I give deadlines. They're quite loose deadlines. Like I'm very nice about them. But also there are times like in this upcoming chapter of Gummy Studios, I'm gonna have to recast some people, which it gets a little bit how do I do this? How do I do that? And I think a lot about it. But also there's also body actors trying to get people to actually get on the server and body act, because with voice acting you can do it anytime. You don't really need to schedule it. People can just do it on their free time and it's easy. But when it comes to body acting, I need to schedule sessions with people and I need to make sure a certain amount of people are free to do one scene. And there were times where I've had people go, oh yeah, I've had myself go, oh yeah, 8 people are going to show up to this because they've all said they're all going to show up, and then only 3 people show up, and it's like, okay, what am I going to do now? Because I need 8 people for the scene, but only 3 people have shown up. So that gets kind of hard, and it does delay a bit of production. But those are kind of my struggles.
You're up, cute Cam.
Yeah,
Pressure's on
I
you.
mean, what you've been saying is so relatable to me. Like trying, I think, yeah, because all the kind of activities and things in Minecraft, other than a very select few, everything's volunteer. Like you're so reliant on people's time, and we have that exact same situation where all of our team volunteer their time to be able to put Cube together. And we particularly found over the years that as we've added this feature, as we've added this area, as we've added that thing, everything's gotten bigger and bigger and bigger, but our team capacity like is starting to be like, okay, we need more people to be able to tackle this area and this area. But you're also so reliant on those people to be able to commit that time to be able to put on this. But because it's all volunteer, obviously there are things that pop up in real life, like real jobs that take priority and drag people away. And so it's always like a fighting battle to produce things simply because like no one's a full-time paid person. So I'm glad we're not the only ones, basically. And we're actually going to really start pushing just to hire, or not hire, like we recruit volunteers, just more people to be able to cover others. Because we kind of got to the point where that's the only solution is having multiple people sort of tackling one area, so that if someone does happen to drop out, there's someone to step in, and things aren't left lingering for someone else who has no idea of what's going on to pick up the pieces. I guess that's a bit more difficult with voice actors and things. Like I don't know if you can have backup voice actors in the wings. But yeah, no, it's great to hear that it's a shared experience, and I think a lot of people will face that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, and one thing, an argument that I always like to make is like you can still be very appreciative, but also very frustrated. And I think like a lot of people don't, and the kind of reason why I'm doing this panel, or we're doing this panel, is a lot of people don't realize that you're allowed to differentiate the two. So for a bit of context here, obviously the podcast is very much reliant on interviewing creators. I can't upload an interviewing podcast without interviewing a creator. I see Portal in the chat there does like a speedrunning series, and I maybe if someone from Rasta Studios is watching, they do Rasta Studios, and obviously you guys with CubesCon, the panel, right? So it's really cool that people will volunteer to take part in your project. Like, let's say Vercon comes on the podcast, right? And I'm very grateful that they give me their time, but then they reschedule on me an hour before and go like, like there's two different ways of doing it. Either like, sorry, because sometimes I've had to reschedule, like, sorry, like either my dog's ill, blah blah, and it's like a valid reason, or like, yo, can't do today, got to do tomorrow, right? And it's like you can be very appreciative that this volunteer is giving you your time without you paying them, but also you're allowed to be very, very frustrated that this volunteer is meant to be giving you their time, but not giving it, kind of idea. So I think a lot of the time people don't realize that that's also part of the struggles, is kind of separating your feelings. But I mean, I'm saying it on the panel now, but it's not exactly something you can say publicly. Like if someone drops out of your event last minute, or if someone cancels a panel last minute, or, you know, like with Rasta tomorrow, if someone dropped out last minute, blah, blah, like you can be understanding, obviously, but at the same time, you can't exactly like say your emotions publicly, because it'll just come off really poorly when it's not meant to be, if that makes sense.
That's really internal.
So I think that's also part of the struggle.
Internal frustration, doesn't it? You have to be understanding as well as being frustrated internally.
Yeah, exactly. But like, you know, you don't want to come off like,
No,
you don't want to express that publicly, because it's just because it is toxic if you do that. But also at the same time, like I feel like people kind of forget that, like, yeah, you're giving us your time, which is perfect, but at the same time, I've also rescheduled, like, you know, going out for dinner. You know, I was meant to be going out for dinner today, but I've pushed it to tomorrow, and now you want to reschedule the podcast to tomorrow, but I have dinner plans. So, you know, to put it basically, if that makes sense. Right, Cubed Cam, you're up next here.
Oh gosh.
When did I this is rapid fire before I ask the big question. Firstly, when did CubedCon start?
Started in 2012. If you believe
When
it.
did you start working on CubedCon?
I started in 2012.
Okay, perfect.
I along with Mason ATV, I founded
status.
The event way back when we were kids
So-
at school.
Perfect. That's perfect for what I'm about to ask. So obviously we've talked about the positives, which is probably going to be your biggest thing for this question, but regardless, and kind of back to my whole differentiating between like feelings, we're minusing the charity because it's too much of an easy answer if you talk about the charity, right? So ignoring that, how do you stay motivated to keep like how did you stay motivated when you first started off with all the struggles you faced, with all the positives that you faced, all that kind of jazz? How did you carry on going now 13 years later?
Yeah, that's definitely been a challenge, particularly over the later years. I think initially, like Minecraft was, it was a school trend. You jump on it, you fall in love with the game, and particularly doing Cubed. One of the reasons I personally love doing it so much is it essentially became a sandbox to be able to try out so many new things. Like, I've covered pretty much, if you think look at an aspect of Cubed, and like a job that needs doing there, I've done it at some point in the past, whether it's graphic design, making the videos, right now hosting the stream, producing the stream, sorting out booths, sorting out panels. Back in the day we used to do booths. We started on Planet Minecraft in a forum thread, and like booth applications used to be just someone replying to the thread with their details, and I would take that and manually data entry into a spreadsheet. That's the kind of level we were back then. But it just had so much opportunity to be able to just try new things, and I've got my career out of doing Cubed because of this. It's been quite fascinating. But in the later years, particularly as you do start to feel that grind, as you probably do with anything, like people fall out of love with games and things. You're not enjoying Minecraft quite as much. I still love the game, but I can't play it as much because I've got a job now and other things going on.
Real life.
I know, right? And because you've been doing something for so long as well in itself, you're just like, is that still there to keep going? I need something new to enter the mix to change it up. But the real motivations just come from having a break. I've taken step backs from Cube for like 2 or 3 years at a time in the past, just to have a breather and kind of reset myself. And I found that motivation just does start to come back. I think the audience and like the community really plays a massive part in that. And knowing that you're putting on something for a group of people that are going to enjoy it, that's what brings you back and has that kind of calling card to be, sucks you back in and you can't stay away for long. So I don't know if you guys have felt anything similar like that drive just to deliver something for people to enjoy.
Sorry, was that me? Okay.
Yeah. Perfect transition into you now. Yeah.
Okay, so quickly run through the question again. Was it
So your I think Gummy Studios has been around for like 2 years, 3 years now.
Yeah.
You started off
pretty
with Bedrock content creation, which obviously is a bit tougher.
Yeah.
Why like
what motivated me to keep going?
What essentially got you first through that first year basically?
Well, I guess it was just when I was producing these stories, I just knew that I really wanted to put this out, and I knew that at least some people were going to enjoy this, and like I knew that I was going to get some good reactions out of this because I just want people to enjoy it, That's kind of the whole goal. The thing that really keeps me going is when people ask me like, "Oh, what's going on with this? What's going on with that? Have you started editing yet? Have you done this?" And I think that's just kind of shows that people are kind of excited about it, and it's like it really does keep me going.
I guess probably not obviously both your answers were absolutely great, but with you being kind of jumping into something that's been so consistent already, what kept you motivated?
Honestly, similar to what Takon said, it's like just the idea of making something that makes people happy. Because I just enjoy making people happy by giving them stuff that a lot of people enjoy, and a lot of the people that play in the Cube events are like people that don't get to play in these mini events very often, but all very often enjoy them. So that's something that I really enjoy about
it. Mine is just like the ego boost. You've been there from the get-go, Vera. Like I started off with like Bedrock content also, and getting guests on there was like a struggle. But like, and I'm gonna be completely fanboyish here. It gets to a point where like when you have a childhood hero on the podcast, and you can spend half the podcast just asking questions that like 13-year-old you would want to know the answer to. That's when it's like it kind of gets to a point where it's kind of insane. Like being able to sit back and be like, oh, like to Jerome, like why was your axe named Betty? Like 13-year-old me would be screaming to know that answer, and then I've just sat and asked it like kind of face to face, if you know what I mean. So that is kind of what keeps you motivated is like the opportunity to have cool moments, have cool opportunities.
Very true.
Sadly, as we only have 7 minutes left, which is completely valid, and I want to make an announcement before we wrap up the panel for today. I have one more. I have one more little thing for all of you, and I think we'll start with Q's Cam again because set the standard high here. For anyone who wants to start their organization, right? Say they start it at the new year, right? 2026, big new year. I want to start a Minecraft event. I want to maybe start my own convention, to raise money for charity. I want to start my own movie, all that kind of jazz, right? What is something what is one piece of advice? Not just as overall, not specifically from CubesCon, but just one piece of advice that you have for getting started.
Yeah. I think the biggest piece of advice you can give someone who is trying to or has an idea to do something is just do it. It's happened to me in the past. I've had an idea and been like, oh, how would I make that how would I deliver that in the perfect way? I need to go get that. I need to go get that. And you start to fuss about all kind of these other details without actually getting going. And you never get going because you keep thinking about these things. But honestly, if you don't have the pieces already, that's fine. Just start with something and then start, not to throw in a Minecraft reference here, but just start building from that block, that first initial step.
Oh my God. I get it.
It's all a circle.
I get it.
But literally just take a step, just start the Discord server and start getting people in if that works. Just buy the website domain and start, that we've all been cursed by that in the past. But just start with something and just get going. Even if it's rubbish to begin with, that first step will mean everything comes after. Rather than just something in the back burner that just toys in your head forever.
Velvet?
I think the biggest piece of advice that I could give that isn't what you just said is that making anything it's not going to be good at first, which is similar to what you said. But if you just need to keep doing it, because if you never try it, you're never going to get the experience to be able to make that thing good. Because the first things that I made were not good. They were quite bad. But over time, you get the experience. You know how to start running things. You know how to make the things that make whatever you want to make function, like the back end. And then that is kind of how you learn. Because you don't learn by just being correct on the first attempt. You learn by getting things wrong, which I think is a key thing that not many people actually listen to, even though they always get told it.
100%. Yeah, mistakes are the best teachers.
Navira?
All right. My piece of advice is take it at your own pace. You're starting the organization. You are kind of your own boss. One of the things I used to worry about when I started Gummy Studios was, I'm not doing this on time. And I still I did it quite recently as well. I was like, I've not written the story yet. I don't know what I'm doing. I need to write the story before the end of the month, or I need to finish production before that. But when you give yourself deadlines that are just not realistic, you'll end up reducing the amount of quality that goes into what you're making. And obviously you want to make sure that what you're doing is quite good. You don't want to make sure that it's just what people call nowadays slop. But that's just kind of my piece of advice. Take it at your own pace. Don't try and do things that are unrealistic right now.
As all the good answers have been taken, I'll throw a curveball out there. Know when to stop. So January this year I took a break because I was just I really wanted to keep going, and then I just got to this part where I felt like I was just pushing myself a little bit too much, and because of that, I just felt like I just wanted to pack it all in, and obviously I didn't, and I'm glad I didn't because I wouldn't be here today with you amazing people. But at the same time, I just got to the point where it just got a little bit too much, and so be it. I've kind of gone back to the whole overwhelming myself with a bunch of stuff, but also it's overwhelming myself with stuff that I know I can manage and I can enjoy. But then uploading 2 podcasts a week, constantly having deadlines and all that kind of jazz, it kind of just got to a point where I felt like I was doing it because I wanted to prove something as opposed to enjoying it. So if you're really struggling or you think maybe it's too much, just stop, just have a breather. Don't set deadlines until you know you can meet the deadlines. don't make false promises. Don't say, oh yeah, I can upload this at next, like I don't release this next month, right? Just pause, wait, and then go from there, essentially. So
We try.
right. Announcement. Should we line up?
Ooh,
All right, let's do it.
yeah.
Oh my god,
Announcement.
then right. Do you want to do it, Vicon?
I don't know how I would do it. I think you should lead it, honestly.
Okay. So, last month, which was meant to actually be announced on this panel, but it didn't get announced because it's already been announced. I partnered with Velvet Ashes and Amy from Cube Championships, basically to work together, essentially, and help each other with our projects. Them help me with Inside MC, and myself helping them with Cube Champs. So I'm very happy to announce that Inside MC is also partnering with Gummy Studios. Woo!
Hey.
It's gonna be announced like in 1 minute, literally in 1 minute time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I feel like we're a little bit early. But yeah, so essentially we're gonna all be working together. Man, it's kind of meet a middleman, working with both of them to just I don't know what we'll be doing specifically, but we have plans. So stay tuned for that. The future is bright. And also, one last announcement: donate. What we want to beat last year's goal for CubeCon. I'm saying we, as
That's
if I'm part of
true.
the team. We do, though.
We do.
we
On
want to raise
everybody's
more.
soul.
I mean, already starting off with like $5,100 raise is insane, and I think it can very, very much be smashed by the end of Sunday. And people keep donating in any way, and I said this all the time, even with like charity events that I work on, is if you can't donate, that is completely fine. But just tweet about it, just post about it, even if it's on Instagram, Facebook, whatever. Even if you only get one viewer or one person, and if only one person checks it out, they might check it out, and then they might post about it. And then slowly you're getting one person, two people, three people, that kind of jazz. So even if you can't donate, just share, stream it. Even if you're streaming to one person, it doesn't matter. Just do whatever. and break. You need to beat last year's record, and I think you can. So
We're hoping to. That's the plan.
there we go.
You got this.
Oh, well, thank you guys. Teamwork makes the dream work, right? I think that's good.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
sorry for dragging you into it last minute. I know you probably
No,
wasn't
it's good.
expecting that, so apologies.
I'm enjoying it. Thank you for having me.
But thanks for responding.
All right, Velvet, Orbits, Virgon, thank you so much for joining us. It's been I've loved this panel. This has been fantastic. And I hope that some wisdom has been passed on to the wonderful people that have been listening in and watching. And I hope you have a good rest of your weekend. It's only just beginning, right?
Oh man, I'm so looking forward. It's going to be a great weekend. Thank you so much for having us.
No problem at all. So yeah, guys, stick
got
around.
that.
I believe we've got another panel just about to start, which is a bit of a fireside chat with Lioneer and maybe a couple of friends. So yeah,
Sounds good.
Stick around. It's coming out in just a bit.